What is going on, everybody? And welcome back to Game Time, episode 10, your weekly sports and video game podcast hosted by Snowbike Mike and, of course, Tom Bach. We are back for another week, and we are excited to talk about some video gaming and sports topics. So let's jump right into it. Tom Bach, how you doing today? Welcome back, my friend.
It's good to be back. I was trying to make a 10 with my hands. I'm not exactly sure which direction this is going to come out, but 10 episodes, dude. Can you believe it? We made it. We've made the big time. 10.
We've made it big time. We've now hit double digits. It's hard to believe when you put the numbers to it. That's really weeks that have gone by. And, you know, me and Tom have shared a friendship that's much longer than just 10 weeks. But it's nice to get the podcast up into the double digits. It feels right. It feels good.
It does feel right. Feels really good. Really good.
I love that. Well, Tom, I know you've been playing some games, so have I. So let's start off the show like we normally do. Topic number one, what have you been playing?
We can start. So I did catch up on Dead Cells, which has been great because you and I talked last podcast about Dead Cells and how you'd been doing with it. I think we should talk about that, but let me start with the other two and then we'll do Dead Cells third, if that sounds good to you.
That sounds great.
Okay, man. So the thing that I've been spending two games I've been spending the most time with, the biggest is Guacamelee 2, which I talked about last week for a little bit. Love the first one. I am equally loving, if not more loving, the second one. Did you play Guacamelee, the original?
I played Guacamelee, the original, have not jumped to 2 yet.
Okay. So the humor's a lot the same. Visually, it looks almost identical, actually, which is kind of interesting. Although with a lot of kind of funny things that have been added because of the time that has passed since the first one. So a lot of the characters have, let's say, sort of aged or look a little bit different than they did. So they did a great job kind of reminding you of what happened in the first one, but sort of building on it. Man, I'm having a ball with that game. The thing about that game that kind of gets me, man, is you can just see the amount of, I don't know what the right word is. The team that makes that game obviously loves that game, right? They really put a lot of time and attention into the small things, like the posters that hang up on the walls. I've caught myself, believe it or not, just genuinely laughing out loud, truly laughing out loud at stuff because the humor in it is so good. Like they did a great job with it. Although I will say, man, gameplay-wise, it is really pretty difficult. Like, there's a couple of, if you remember from the first one, you had to sometimes kind of, you do certain moves to get higher, like jump with an uppercut to get up on a ledge, and you'd have to change time. There's like the 2 different time shift elements, if you remember that would sort of make things appear and disappear. Dude, there's some stuff in that game that is really, really challenging me, and in fact, there's one in particular that's kind of pissing me off that I don't know I've ever been quite so triggered by a game before because I just can't do it. It's like just a platforming level, get from one side of the screen to the other. But you got to the button pushes you'd have to do to make it would be, I can't do it. Can't pull it off. But dude, the game's great. I'm loving it. You should definitely check it out. If you played the first one, you would love every second of it. There's nothing about it you wouldn't dig.
That's awesome. They still got co-op in it?
They still got co-op in it. It's 4-player.
Sweet.
It's 4-player. I don't know if it's multiplayer online. I haven't done the couch co-op yet, but it's the same characters. It's the main guy, Juan, plus like Tostada and a few of the basic characters. Dude, it is fun. I think I'm about halfway through it, maybe a little more than halfway through it from what I can tell from just kind of looking at the game clock and how much people have put into it. It's a ball, dude. Don't miss it. I highly encourage you and everyone listening. That's a game that's definitely worth playing.
That's awesome, Tom.
Yeah, it's really good. And then the second one, we can talk a little bit about Dead Cells after that is Walking Dead Final Season, Telltale.
Ooh, I'm excited to hear about this.
Yeah. So it's the first episode only, right? And so I think the second one comes out here fairly quickly to the first one, which is good because the first one, if I'm being honest, not a lot happened. It's definitely, you can tell it's trying to build the world and it's trying to build the new characters because did you play The Last Frontier at all? Or I forget the very last one, The New Frontier, I think it was called, with the new character. Clementine was in it, but Javi was the main guy that you played the whole way through.
I'm trying to think. The last time, no, I think I played up to season 2 where I left her and the baby as a young child.
Okay.
And then I played the 400 Days or something where it introduced 3 other or 4 other characters. And I've kind of fallen off of that because I think the episodes either were too slow for me but I do enjoy Walking Dead. It was just too slow. And then waiting,
Yeah.
like you said, of like sometimes you'd wait upwards of a month to get the next episode. And it's like, I've already fallen off the interest strain of this. So it was tough for me to get back into it. I would like to wrap up Clementine's story, but I don't think I ever will.
Yeah, I think so the good news about the third one, so what's officially the third one, I think is I have to look it up for the video. I think it is called The New Frontier. You can just play them all in order now, which I did. I think with season 2, I didn't do it episodically as it came out. I just waited till it was done and then I did all 5 of them in a row, which makes it kind of a lot easier to not have to wait for it. But the third one was kind of a departure because she was in it, but she was barely in it. In fact, she was one of, probably 7 or 8 characters, but she probably had maybe 10% of it. And I don't remember if you ever controlled her. I don't think you did. Or if you did, it was for like a really short amount of time. This one, you're back controlling her. It looks like a couple years have passed. She's probably 14, 15, 16, maybe at the most. So she's a little bit older. I won't go into all this, the plot and what it's about though, but clearly this first one, they're putting you into a situation where all the characters you're meeting seem like they're going to be there the whole game. So they're spending a lot of time kind of getting to know each one of them. The engine is new and different, and that's people have criticized the Telltale games quite a bit because the engine just freaking sucks, right? It's been laggy and kind of terrible the whole time. So they've kind of fixed that. It looks a lot better. It plays a lot better. Dude, I'd encourage you to go back and bang out the third one. And if you don't, by the way, it'll ask you can play it with, if all you do is want to see Clem's story, you could probably just go ahead and skip it because not a lot happened for her story arc in the third one.
I mean, that's interesting to hear. Yeah, I know that you could always pick your choices to start off a new season, which is nice if you didn't play the prior one. But that's interesting you said something about the engine. I was under the impression that this was the last series that was going to be on the old Telltale engine, and then they were going to scrap it and move on for like Stranger Things, I think is the next one docked for Telltale Games, and that was going to be on the new engine. So if you think it's running smoother, looking better, and playing better, that might bring me back in because I was holding off hearing that this is probably the last one on that engine.
Yeah, so let me back up. It probably isn't a new actual engine, but it definitely isn't chugging along. You can see a lot of the effects are different on it, like stuff moves a little more dynamically. It's probably technically the same engine, and I think you're right. I think I did read that story too, that they were scrapping the whole thing, and they came out and apologized. I know I saw a big article about them saying they kind of let fans down with how crappy that engine was because, dude, that engine stunk. I mean, I was playing the Batman series and I couldn't even get through it. I mean, it was just like, there would be like 3-second gaps of the screen would freeze and then he'd appear someplace else. I mean, it was pretty crappy. But it does seem like it's running better. Like I'm not struggling with the controls, and maybe it's just because it's on an X and it's running better than it ever has before. But man, it's good. I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to see where the story goes. I've always been kind of a fan of that particular Telltale game. So it's good. I'm interested to see it. I finished the first one completely. I think this one's also going to be 5 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, over the next, I think, 2 months. I don't think there's a giant window of when they're releasing. I think it's about 2 months for all 5 of them. So jump on in, man. You'll dig it.
That's good to hear. I'm a big fan of all the Telltale licenses that they had. When you think back, they've had some really good games, Tom, of Walking Dead, awesome grab, and that Clem story has been great, how they spread it out so many seasons, and in between seasons with Michonne and the 400 Days like you and I talked about a moment ago, and then having Borderlands, that one was a lot of fun.
It's good.
Batman has been a good time, and I even enjoyed the Game of Thrones version that they had too. I never played The Wolf Among Us, but I mean, those are 5 different licenses that they have, and they did a pretty good job on, so I'm excited. I mean, talk about Stranger Things. That's like the biggest thing going on right now. This is going to be a great addition to the stable they got.
I agree. And dude, Guardians was good. I enjoyed that. I played that one.
Guardians,
the Game of Thrones one was really good too, man. Like the thing about the Game of Thrones ones that I didn't know until after I had played it. I sometimes go at, of the choices I made, and I kind of look at what choice you could have made. Dude, that one could have ended up really differently. Like I sometimes feel like the choices you make are not that impactful. Sometimes there's big choices where a character lives or dies and then continues on. But man, some of the choices in that one, like I went and read if you didn't choose something. I mean, it was wildly different ending that you could have gotten out of that one. So that to me is always very cool when they give you that much variance in story, and it's not just a hollow choose this over this, and the thing goes the same place anyway, right? Those are not as fun. So check that out. And then lastly, man, let's talk about Dead Cells, because in between the recording of the last one and this one, I knew I was going to get into it. I did. It sucked me in a huge way, in a good way. Like, I'm totally digging it. I am hitting the wall a little bit. You and I talked a little bit before we started recording about kind of where you are. So why don't you kick this one off? Where are you in the game? How far have you gotten? And then we can kind of banter after that.
My last update for you, Tom. Over this past week, I have now officially beaten the second boss and gotten into the level past him, and then immediately died because it got way insane with some elite enemies catching me off guard. But I will say, I've definitely progressed with how much better I've gotten with weapon usage and traps. Really what it comes down to for me that separates my gameplay is, am I actively using my 2 trigger buttons for those traps, whether it be the automatic turrets, the wolf traps, I don't know, freeze grenades, bombs, all that stuff. Am I actively using that? Because sometimes you can get caught up with just starting to play like it's an Arkham Knight game. X, 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 X,
Yep.
Y, 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 Y. And sometimes you forget about those traps on the bottom. And that makes or breaks my run for me. And so it was just a random night. I was just kind of putting in, I think I was doing some video editing, and I was on the backside playing it, and I got through the first boss, got through the next mission after that dock area with the pirates, and all of a sudden I was in the clock tower, and I kind of, turned on the try-hard mode and kicked butt through the clock area. I think there's either one level or you go straight to the second boss, and that moment for me was just pure luck. I mean, nothing could have prepared me for what that second boss could have been, Tom, because he has some nasty moves. He does some outrageous different combo attacks. And if it wasn't for me with those traps, using those and just jumping in the air blindly, praying he wasn't going to hit me, I wouldn't have defeated him. But luckily, luck was on my side that time. That's why.
So, man, and I'm digging it, but I'm also struggling now with the concept of this, because here's been my experience. So I'm at the first boss, and I've gotten him down to like just a centimeter of his health bar. So I'm really close to beating him. Like, I'm right on the edge, right? In the subsequent runs since that one, because I think I've done them a little quicker, I'm probably about half as powerful when I got to him. I didn't have half as many hit points. I didn't find as much stuff for whatever reason. Like the first time that I got to him and almost beat him, I found like a kick-ass bow. Like, everything was on my side. I had the traps. I had all that shit, right? So I was in good shape to fight him. But then the next time I came back, I just did a little quicker, probably didn't explore as much as I should have. And I ended up with a really weak character that had no flipping chance to beat him at all. And between those 2 runs, I obviously didn't like upgrade anything significant to totally change the outcome of that fight. And so then I kind of stopped and went, holy cow, is this what this is going to be forever? Like, it forces me to play the levels slowly to get enough stuff to be able to go beat the boss. But if I play every level slowly, this thing is going to go on forever and ever, and I'm never going to get through it. Because I kind of wanted to speed run back to the boss, but then I get there and I don't have anywhere near enough crap to beat him at that point. So am I doing it right or wrong, or is that just the way this game is?
I don't know if I can tell you the true correct answer there, Tom, because we'd have to find somebody that's gotten farther than both of us and see what really lies ahead. But I can tell you my gameplay style has been one tried and true formula, and that is kill every single enemy in every single level, explore the whole level no matter how early in the game I am, because I want every single one of those boosts. I go into the first boss with like 2,000 plus health because I know I need that because I'm not good enough. So I'm exploring every single level to the fullest. I'm getting every single upgrade. I'm killing every single enemy in there, no matter how small or how large, because I want those cells. Thankfully, I've just gotten to the point where now I have 3 health flasks. I have the random starter bow, which of course could be something, could be nothing. And I'm now experimenting with different weapons. Like I had the broadsword one moment. That thing was too slow for me. I had the nutcracker. That didn't feel right.
Nutcracker.
I'm now trying out different weapons, but I can tell you the only way I know that I can get far in that game is to take it really slow, which then gets to your point of like, if I die, if I make the wrong move, or if I'm just not feeling it, like it just becomes boring and tedious to run through the same missions, the same boss all over again to finally hit the second boss. I don't even know how many bosses there are. I haven't even done any insights into that because I want to kind of keep it blind. But man, if it's going to take me 28 minutes a run just to get to the first boss and then another 20 to make it 40 just to get to the second boss, how many times can I really keep running through it? And I'm sure hopefully somebody in the comments will tell us how we're doing it wrong or what we should be doing. Or maybe I am right. Maybe that's just how you got to play the game. But that's tough, Tom, to marathon it every single time you play. And then to get frustrated after you die of like, am I going to speed run this and just run until I die? Because now I'm facing the first boss with 500 health. Or am I taking it slow every single time, like you said?
I think people can comment because I do think that the game, it has to be different. Because the challenge of what you experience, let's say you kill the first boss, you get past him, you're on to the next spot, you're inevitably going to run into someone that you don't know how to fight, like what happened to you. That's going to kick your ass. And you're like, oh, crap, now I think I know how to beat him because I learned a little bit about his moveset or whatever's going on. But there's no way on God's green earth you got to run that entire thing again exactly as you did. There's got to be a point. I'm sure people can't comment. I hope somebody does. I think Dim is further into it. He sent me a thing. He's like, hey, I'm at the spot now where I think you can warp ahead certain things, but then I wonder if you warp ahead again, are you skipping upgrading your guy as you go? Man, this game has been out for a while, has it not? I think it was out on PC for like a pretty good amount of time before it hit Switch, and I think it's an old PC game because when I did do some research, by the way, you and I are nowhere into the game. We're literally like the very beginning. You know, it seems like it's a lot, but it's nothing. So, I hope it gets easier because I'm not going to want to beat 6 bosses. Let's say there's 10 bosses. Am I really going to want to beat every one of them every single time I play until I can finish the game? I kind of don't think so. So
it'll be interesting, Tom. And there's also things like you and I discussed in the pre-show of like, there's things we haven't even touched yet, like those mummy tombs. There's runes on the floor that we're supposed to break or do something with. I mean, I only have the seed that grows the vines up that takes you through that alternate path, but still it's like, man, I'm missing a lot of things here, and I don't know when I unlock them to actually feel like I'm doing anything. I feel like, you know, you beat the concierge or somewhere in that first couple levels, you get the seed to grow the vines. I beat that second boss. I wasn't rewarded with anything, I feel like, unless I'm just smashing A to smash through everything, you know, that they're talking about.
What did the concierge boss give you, if you don't mind me asking?
The concierge, I don't remember what. I don't think he gives you anything of importance. Somewhere between level 1 and the concierge, my first run, he gives you the seed to grow the vine. So if you haven't gotten that,
I have that.
Okay,
yeah, you need that even to get to the Black Bridge part, right?
So somewhere in there, it gives you that. We'll call it the first shortcut mechanism or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's 30 minutes though to get to that thing every single time. It's 30 minutes, and it's not that it's not fun. It's just like you said, it becomes repetitive. So I'm still digging it. I guess here's my takeaway. I don't know how long I'm going to stick with it. I don't know if. I mean, you got Spider-Man coming out, you've got NBA 2K coming out, you've got other things coming out that I really wonder. The Messenger's coming out, which that's pretty interesting looking game also. I don't know. I'd like to see more of it through. I hope somebody in the comments kind of says, hey, stick with it, because as soon as you beat, I don't know, the third boss, you can skip right ahead to the third boss. Because that would be nice to not have to keep killing the same mindless crap over and over and over, but we'll see.
We'll see where it goes. I think it's fun just to jump in, but like you said, how much longer can I keep jumping in occasionally? We'll see. On my side, Tom, I played a fun one on my Xbox Game Pass. I was searching through, scrolling through on the app that I have on my phone, and I saw Cluster Trucks. Now, I've seen Cluster Trucks before on some different people's streams, and I said maybe this will be a fun hour of streaming this game. And, man, Tom, was I pleasantly surprised at this Fast and Furious platformer. I don't know if you've seen Cluster Truck, if you've played it, but it's pretty cool. And the best part about it is it doesn't punish you with loading screens. It doesn't punish you with long wait times. You literally start the mission, and you just start running. And anytime you fail, you press A or X, and you're right back into it, just like that. And I think that's what makes the game so great.
So I haven't seen much of it. Give me the what does it remind you of? Like, what are the most similar elements of other games are there?
It's a platformer,
Okay.
And it's like, just imagine just a long level, and it's a bunch of semi trucks just driving straight forward. And your goal is just to constantly jump from one to another until you hit the finish line. I don't know if I've ever played a game similar to that I can really come up with an example off the top of my head, but it's well worth looking at. And like I said, the fast and furious nature of you're jumping on all these trucks. It's pure mayhem all around you. Things are blowing up. Avalanches are happening in some levels. But every time you fail, you just press that retry button and it kicks you right to it. The level starts again. And I think that's what makes it so addicting. And it's a pretty fun, wild, crazy game, which I was pretty pleased with.
Is the platforming the same? Is it the same level over and over? Or is it
Correct?
like
it's the same level over and
Okay.
over. I think the trucks might like deviate just a little bit. You know what I mean? Like there's like swinging arms that snap half of the trucks in half on one level, and maybe that truck was a little bit ahead of it than the first time, but they're all very similar each and every time, the obstacles, and it's just your goal to be able to jump from truck to truck to regain your jump ability, jump to the next truck, jump to the next truck, and try to get across, and I loved it. I thought it was a great time, and having it on Xbox Game Pass, there it is. It's
There it
only
is.
$12 too, so you know, if you didn't have Xbox Game Pass, you could buy that, you know.
It sounds a little Trials Fusion-y, if I'm being honest. Like, is there any
Oh,
trials to it? Like,
Thank you.
yeah.
I wouldn't. It's similar to Trials. That's funny you bring that up because another game that I did play this week was actually Trials Fusion, Trials of the Blood Dragon. And
oh yes,
Tom, that game is amazing. How great is that game? Have you played that one at all?
I have played it, dude. That is so Mike Howard too. That's like
Oh.
so up your alley, dude. I love it. Like, what was like that mode? What was the game you were streaming most recently with the bike and the out in the woods? Remember that crazy game?
Oh, yes, Descenders.
Descenders, right?
So,
That's so your thing. I love
you're
it.
right, Tom. It is totally my thing. And I think I played Trials Evolution, the first Trials on Xbox, and I really enjoy the Trials games. I love being on the bike. I love getting the sick flips. But I think there was a moment in Trials where you kind of had to learn like the bunny hop mechanic, and it was really tough to master. But then when I came over to this one, you know, of course, the neon colors, the funny, weird story that they have tied in with Far Cry Blood Dragon is hysterical. But I think what the big one caught me was it feels a little bit easier than Trials, the actual OG Trials, because there is no bunny hop that I've encountered yet, and I'm halfway through the game. I love that there's levels where you get off the bike and you're doing like the side-scrolling platformer with a gun and you're shooting at enemies, or you jump in the RC car point of view. It's been a lot of fun. I'm actually super happy I played that game recently.
Dude, I love the fact that they made a game like that because Trials of the Blood Dragon, the actual, was it Far Cry 3 that it was the that game was so funny. Like, it was genuinely funny, and it was so all the 80s stuff and the colors and everything. For them to mishmatch those two games together and actually have it be something that was as cool as that was is insane. Like, those are the craziest two things to stick together. I've played it. I haven't played much of it, if I'm being honest. I bought it like way back when it came out, and if I remember, it didn't review really well, and so like I sat on it for a while. But then I played it. I'm like, this is freaking awesome, man! This thing is so insane. Like, it's such a funny game. I love it.
I love that. I've been enjoying that. Another quick one that I've purchased. I have on the PlayStation. We've probably only played about an hour to 2 hours, me and the boys, but we do have Fire Pro Wrestling, and that takes me back to when me and my little brother Jackson used to play WWE or whatever it used to be called back on the N64, the OG wrestling games of smashing buttons, beating each other up, and yelling at each other. So Fire Pro Wrestling, I can't wait to get a little more deep into, kind of learn the mechanics, because I had Christian and Sad Boy Sean over at the house, and we were just button smashing the whole time until we figured out what was happening. So that was a lot of fun. It's also pretty cool looking. I'm impressed by it.
Is it? I was going to ask you too, because I haven't seen anything of it. I've seen people tweet about it, and I keep meaning to like check it out. Is it modern day graphic stuff, or is it old kind of 8-bit?
No, it feels
style?
like old school 8-bitty
Okay.
type graphics look, but it's pretty, it's bright, and it's a fun wrestling game. It's not like, I don't know if this is the actual wrestling league, but all these names I've never heard of. It's definitely not like the mainstream wrestling like WWE 2K stuff.
Do you play any of those? Are you wrestling like the main like actual
No.
wrestling game guy?
Ever since Jackson, me and him, when we used to play the old school on 64 games and we used to strangle each other with the controllers or try to kill each other. Like, we had a rule in the family, like, okay, no more wrestling. Nobody's watching it. Nobody's talking about it. It's over. And that was the end of my wrestling career right there.
That's so funny, man. I could just see that as a kid. Like, I can remember doing that with my brother too. Not over wrestling, but over other stupid games that meant nothing. But yeah, that's great.
That's how it goes. And my final one is I did play all week long the NBA Live demo. So NBA Live 19, the demo is now out. We're about a week out from both 2K and Live actual full releases. So you're going to hear me talk about Live this week. Next week, I'll talk about NBA 2K because that prelude, that demo comes out tonight after we record this. But on the Live side, couple of big takeaways. It's another edition of NBA Live. They came back in 16 after taking a couple-year hiatus, and they're still struggling to really find their place in the market. NBA 2K is truly one of the best sports games out there, and right now I don't know if Live will ever have a foothold because 2K is so big. But some of the positives for Live, they got the girls added in, so they have the full WNBA roster. You can create a girl to play in the park setting, in the Pro-Am setting. Really, that's kind of a cool addition to be able to play as a girl, make a girl. But it's just the mechanics and the gameplay just don't feel right. Everybody feels so clunky. Everybody feels so slow. And I don't know, it's tough to say that because I feel like sometimes on NBA 2K, the game feels much better, but nothing truly ever feels like actually playing the sport. You as an athlete, Tom, I'm sure all the athletes around the world can agree of like, when you're playing basketball, the fluid, the fast motion that actually happens on the court or on any sport can never truly be matched in the video game. It just doesn't feel right, whether it be you're moving too slow, the dribble animations are impossible to actually complete, the pass is going too slow. It just doesn't feel right, and that's why I think NBA Live needs a lot of progress and work because everything feels like it's like half speed. It doesn't feel as fluid as I want it to move.
Yeah, dude, and to compete against 2K is like that is the highest of high bars, right? That game is probably the most polished sports game. I don't know that anything even comes close to what that game is, and even though it may be, if it's your point, I think you're right. Nothing feels like really playing. Unlike other sport genres, get I think a little closer to it. The control set on that game is just absurd, right? I can remember getting that probably back in like NBA 2K 15 and 16 and just doing like the tutorials, right? Here's the Euro step, here's the hop step, here's the around. I mean, there was a million different ways with the right stick to kind of to control your guy that eventually you got very video game good at that game, or people who got good at it did. But man, here's my question about what EA is doing. Why would you take on 2K head on with a sports sim, a basketball sim? You know what I'm saying? It's like they've already got the market cornered. And I know you could make the argument, yeah, but there's shooters, there's all these other things that there's competing versions of. But are they really going to do it better than 2K does it? And the answer is no. They're not. There's no way that they're going to do it better. So why wouldn't they do like, dude, you're a big like NBA Jam, NBA Street guy. Why not go off in a whole different direction and do something that was like not the same as a realistic sports NBA simulator? Because, dude, 2K will always, they're just too far ahead. I mean, how many years was NBA Live not there? 10? Like, remember, they used to be there way back, and then they stopped, and now they're back. I just think the gap is too flippin' big for anybody to catch them, and I don't know what the hell they're thinking, if I'm being honest.
Well, Tom, you have the answer. You know it. It's at the tip of your tongue right now. EA does have EA Sports back in the day, which was NFL Street, NBA Street, NHL, hits. They should be doing a more arcadey, fun game like that. I don't know why you wouldn't go back into the backlog and create NBA Street Volume 2 Remastered, a game that everybody cherishes. And that's one where, you're not sharing the marketplace, you're creating something totally different, and you can get a piece of that pie. Like you said, I don't know, it's just like taking swings at a juggernaut of like, here we are, on the third year in a row now, just getting slapped around by NBA 2K. And I don't know what their goal is, but it doesn't run as well. The community is never there. You can see it right from the start. People are going to buy it and people will jump off the train immediately. I don't know, maybe EA is so big that they can do that and just make the NBA game and it's just throwaway money. Whatever they make, it's no big deal. But I mean, we're talking, they have Madden, they have NHL. These are all games that are not contested by anything that 2K does. It's not contested by MLB The Show on PlayStation. Nope. Those are their two bread and butter sports games. So maybe they make so much money that they can do this NBA game and hope that it works. Or maybe NBA is truly that big that they think they're getting a small market share of it and it's worthwhile. But you're totally right, Tom. You should be diving into the bag and bringing back the street titles. If I was in control, that's what we'd be talking about.
Dude, 100%. And their biggest title that you didn't mention is probably FIFA, right? And so maybe they took the FIFA PES. So there's a competing FIFA game that arguably people who like FIFA, that PES almost kind of surpassed FIFA as far as quality of the game. So maybe they thought they could do that same thing with NBA. Dude, the answer is no, you cannot. 2K is so polished, like you said, and dude, you're in the community. You know what that community is. They're not going to not play 2K, even if a better arguably game came along. It just, I don't know, it just seems like a wasted thing for them to go do that. But, look, I guess competition's good. Maybe it'll keep 2K iterating a little more. They'll stay out in front, make sure that game continues to be, dude, that game has never not been like a 9 out of 10 Metacritic ever. Like that thing is a juggernaut of a quality game that's never going to suck. So they should focus on something. Bring out Skate. What the hell? What are they thinking, man? That's right in front of them.
Dive deep. But yeah, like you said, FIFA, NHL, Madden, they have 3 huge titles there. They're probably making plenty of money in the sports division. Yeah. One big positive, though, from NBA Live I will share is the face scan was perfect this year. So face scan has been around, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3, maybe 4 years at the most, of now you can download these companion apps on your phone and you can actually scan your face into the game. Now, last year and year prior, they have been horrifying. They have been just awful. Rarely does anybody actually get a good face scan that I have seen transition into the game and look good and legit. And so this year, I don't know, maybe it's the big studio lights that I got in the spare bedroom, but the NBA Live companion app in my face scan came out perfect.
You? Oh, that's terrifying.
It is the closest thing that I've ever seen. People are saying it looks like just a photo of me. So I'm very excited. Hopefully NBA 2K19 can bring the same heat like I need on this one, because I'm all about that. When you talk sports games you create your player, I want me in the game. I want my face, I want my attributes in the game ready to go. And so I think we continue to get closer. Of course, it's not like 2K's opening up the doors for us to come down in the big time photo room and get ourselves scanned into the game. But these small steps forward with face scan really makes it personalized for me, and I love that touch.
Dude, I love it. But by the way, Christian, if you're going to edit this later, we need this footage of the NBA Live Mike Howard. I've got to see this, dude. I'm freaking fascinated now. I have to see this. Dude, I got to tell you a funny story. So the face scan's been around forever. I don't know if you remember this. This is talking about the way back. Rainbow Six Vegas used to have a scan in it, and if I remember, like you'd have to get like a JPEG. Like you'd take a picture. This is like old school, right? Like pre-multiplayer internet almost days. You'd take a picture, you'd upload it like literally you'd go on to like Internet Explorer to some weird thing. You'd upload your photo, and they would somehow bring it back into your guy in the game. And if you remember that game, whenever you would like whenever you would go up against a wall, like your back would turn to it and the camera would pan out and look directly at you. Dude, it looked so much like me that it was the scariest, most horrifying thing in the world to see my ugly freaking face in like a Rainbow Six helmet, like with a M16. It was I
love it.
But it was like randomly good. Like you could probably send in 100 pictures and 99 of them would have looked nothing like, to your point. Like they never look like they're supposed to. But this one picture looked so much like me that it was terrifying. That's one I got to dig up and somehow send out, because it's the funniest freaking thing in the world to see yourself inside of a game.
I love that. Yeah, I hope they iterate more on that, of course, with all sports titles. And, we're going to get into topic number 3. I wouldn't mind seeing a face scan in topic number 3 when we bring that up. We'll talk about that more.
Yeah,
But that concludes what we've been playing. Let's jump in. Sound the buzzer because we're going to jump into a little bit of sports talk. It will be fast. It will be furious for all of our gamer fans out there. So, Tom, sports are here upon us. It's the basketball off season. MLB is winding down. It's almost playoff October, but the big title is back now. Football is here, and we are gearing up for another NFL season. So let's just dive in really quick. We haven't talked NFL ever on the show. Why don't you give me just a little prerequisite of your NFL standings, maybe some teams that you love, and what you're expecting from this year?
Yeah, I'd love to, Mike. So so NFL to me is probably a little bigger even than NBA. I know you're a little bit more of an NBA guy. I'm probably a little more of an NFL guy, if I'm being honest. Not as much college football, though I do follow it. NFL is kind of my jam. So that's probably the thing that I follow the most, even though I follow a crap ton of NBA as well. So I'm constantly as deep into NFL stuff as I can get. So I'm looking forward to kind of talking with you as we kind of go through the football season here, because it really is kind of my jam. As much as everyone in the audience is going to groan, I'm a lifelong Cowboy fan. I grew up in Dallas. I literally lived the high school that I went to, believe it or not, I kid you not, was within a quarter mile of Old Texas Stadium where the Cowboys played. So the old one with the big hole in the roof, right? That Tex Ram, the owner, used to say he did it so God could watch the Cowboys on Sunday, right? Literally the arrogance of the team back then. But this was in the heyday of the Cowboys, right? This is I'm dating myself, but Staubach, Danny White, this is sort of the original, kind of pre-Aikman stuff. I was a little bit older for that, but man, I got sucked in. That was my high school years to be there, to be around that atmosphere when the Cowboys were, kind of America's team. I know everybody rolls their eyes when they think of that now, but that was what I grew up with, man. And football in Texas is everything, as people know, right? It's such an institution that as much as the Cowboys infuriate me, and they do infuriate me, Jerry Jones infuriates me. Anybody who's a Cowboy fan has that huge love-hate thing with the team. It'll always be in my blood. I'm more of a Cowboy fan than anything else. I will say though, I've been in Seattle now for, good God, 20 years. I'm approaching as much of a Seahawk fan now as I am a Cowboy fan. Seahawks are much different, much easier team to like. I think for most people around the country, they're kind of a little bit, more vanilla. They don't have a lot of controversy, not a lot of issues. Pete Carroll's likable. Russell Wilson's likable. They just have kind of a likable vibe about them. But man, I'm a big Seahawk fan. We go to at least 2 or 3 games a year over there. That stadium is insane. It is a riot to go see a game in Seattle, as one of the probably 2 or 3 loudest places in the NFL to see a game at. You got to get up here. Hopefully this winter we can go check a game out. My neighbor's got season tickets across the way. He always kind of hooks us up, so it's a good time. So what about you, man? What is your big team or teams?
Growing up in Colorado, it's always the Broncos. Of course, we love the Broncos. Growing up, John Elway won us a couple back-to-back championships, I believe, and those were big. I mean, Shannon Sharp, Ed McCaffrey, Terrell Davis, John Elway, all of these names will always hold such a big place in my heart. And this is coming from a kid who didn't even like John Elway. I never liked John Elway. I don't know why. I liked the team. But then we got Brian Greasy, and you're like, well, shucks, John Elway was the greatest. I don't even like Brian Greasy.
Yeah.
So I still keep up. Not a big football guy. I think there's too many players to try to keep up to date with. Usually I'm working on Sunday, so I'm not really watching football. But it is one of the biggest sports around here in America, so you kind of keep your eyes glued to it. The Broncos also took a chance on my favorite athlete of all time, Tim Tebow. So, if they're going to do that, I got to love them. But what I'm excited for from this season, besides my buddies from back in the high school days dragging me into their fantasy football league, which, I could do fantasy basketball all day long. Picking names out of a hat that I don't truly know always sucks for me. So
I got you.
I'm back in fantasy. But a couple of the big storylines I'm looking forward to is what's going to happen with Dez Bryant, one of the biggest, well-known, one of the top running backs or wide receivers in the world. What's going to happen with him? He's left Dallas. Where's he going? Who's going to sign him? Is he really going to be an injury pickup 3 weeks from now in the middle of the season? I mean, it's just hard for me to fathom this guy somebody that was so well publicized, whether it be good or bad. You know how talented he is. This guy is not on a football team right now. It's hard to believe right now, Tom Box. So that's a big one for me. And of course, what's up with the Patriots? Are they going to be dominant again? Sure, they lost against the Eagles, but this is like almost a decade now, I feel like, where it's always been New England, New England, New England. And if you've stuck with us through this sports topic, I have one thing for you guys. If you can, in the comments below, Tom brought up Dallas being America's team. I want to truly know. I know there's the controversial side, but is New England truly America's team? Most people will gawk at that because everybody hates the Patriots. But there's always one thing I notice. Every time they're in the Super Bowl, everybody and their mama somehow becomes a Patriots fan. So I think that the Patriots are actually America's football team. Let me know what you think of that, Tom.
Yeah, dude, it ain't the Cowboys. I'll tell you that much. There's no question in my mind that the Cowboys are not America's team, have not been for a long time. All the Cowboy haters know, and even Cowboy lovers know. I mean, they've won, one playoff game in 15 years, and they're definitely not. That is the Cowboys of old, not the Cowboys of modern. It has to be the Patriots, right? I mean, at the end of the day, there's no other team that's been as dominant as long, irrespective of what people say about Belichick. And I was in a text. I got a bunch of Boston buddies that I work with that are always, kind of on the other side of it. But man, what you can't argue with what they've done, and I'm sure they're like a lot of things. They've cut corners and done some different things, but everybody's looking for an advantage and sure, filming stuff and some of the crap they've been accused of is really stepping over the line. But I would think the Patriots have got to be, kind of the most known outside of the U.S., right? I mean, that's, if you look at sort of globally awareness. I mean, the Cowboys are obviously really big outside the U.S. also, but to me, it's the Patriots. I'm sure they'll have another fantastic year. One of these years, Brady will get old. I don't know if it's this year. Doesn't seem like he had any. What did he throw for 505 yards in the Super Bowl, and that was just 6 months ago. So I don't think it's this year that Brady gets old. So I'm sure they'll be there. The Eagles will be there at the end again this year. They did nothing but get better, I think. As much as that pains me as a Cowboy fan to say that about Philly, they're definitively the team to beat in the NFC. The Rams also, I think, will be right there at the end, which is, they've slowly been getting better and better, and now they're pretty dominant. Dude, I don't know about Dez. I tell you, after watching Dez all the years I did, I've been Hard Knocks on HBO. I watch every year, right? So they're doing Cleveland this year, and Dez was in episode 2, I think, when he came for a visit, came to see Hugh Jackson and kind of talk to the team or talk to the GM about joining the Browns. There's something else going on with Dez because, like you said, so he has the most touchdowns, I think, since like 2014, and they even said it in Hard Knocks how long it's been that the last 5 years he's caught more touchdowns than any wide receiver, which is crazy to think about because you really don't think of Dez as being that guy anymore, not like Antonio Brown, Julio Jones level kind of receiver, but he has been. So I think the teams that are really good don't want to mess up their chemistry by bringing in a guy who might mess up their chemistry because, look, Dez is a loud guy in a positive way. He wants to win. He's competitive, but he wants the ball, right? It's the toughest position. You're not in control of your own fate. You need somebody to throw you the ball. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I think it will take somebody getting injured to pick him up, as much as I hate to say that, because he can't learn for week 1 now. Week 1 is what, the 9th of September. He's not going to come in now and learn an offense and contribute. So it's going to be down to somebody that needs a receiver after someone gets hurt, which I hate to say, but that's probably what you're looking at with Dez.
It's incredible to think about that, a top talent like that just out in the abyss right now, not even picked up. It'll be interesting to see, and that's one of the storylines. Also, I'll tell y'all, if you guys don't know about Tom Brady, what he does outside of football to make sure he's one of the best in the world, you should look up what he does. Like, he's going to bed by 9 o'clock at night every single evening. He's in a inside of a bedroom with like no allergens at all. They got like special humidifiers and stuff.
It's crazy.
It's pretty incredible to think like this guy's one of the greatest of all times, and he's the greatest because he does certain things to ensure that every single day he wakes up ready to go. And you don't really see that from the younger millennial squads that you're seeing come out now. Everybody, OBJ, Odell is out on a boat in Miami the day before a playoff game up in Green Bay. You're like, we're talking about different things. And then like you look at this guy, tried and true. He knows the formula. It's pretty incredible. So you should definitely look up like what his outside of football routine is, and that will show you why he's so relevant still into this later years of his life.
I agree. It's crazy. It's crazy that his diet and everything else is like, it's insane what that guy does. Anyway.
I love it. Well, that will wrap up our sports talk. Of course, the NFL season is upon us, so we'll talk some more. You know, I like college football. Please, God, bring back NCAA football one year. That would be so awesome. Of course, you got to pay the students first. They deserve to get paid. It's scary to look at some of the numbers, and maybe that's a topic for me and Tom to talk about of like, who's getting paid out of these college, all the money that they're making off of these sports, and why the kids aren't getting paid. So we'll talk about that one of these days. But let's move on to topic number 3. Tom, this is all you. So make it Tom's topic.
Yeah. So this is one that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I appreciate you indulging me finally. And so I want to talk about Battle Royale games. And I know it's like people could roll their eyes just because there's so much Battle Royale stuff. But man, this is one that from the beginning has totally fascinated me, that the Battle Royale craze has gone the way it's gone. And I got sucked into it. God knows you got sucked into it for a long time and still kind of are. But you went through some really serious times with PUBG and 6 and 7 hours a day kind of addiction with it, right? So it really got me thinking about, especially because we're coming out of the summer here where there hasn't been a lot of releases. We know there's stuff coming out. We know there's a handful of games that have Battle Royale modes, which we can talk about. It's kind of interesting. It's not the main game. It's like a weird offshoot of a full game. And then there's a few other kind of weird random games out there that have started up. But man, it gets me to thinking about, what is really kind of the future? What is the long term of Battle Royale in general? What is the long term of like Fortnite, PUBG specifically? Are they going to be around for a while? And, PUBG's doing its launch here. I think it's the 4th of September. They're doing like an official, it's coming out of beta, whatever the hell that means. Like
coming out of games preview is right.
Which is insane, right? Because it's been in games preview now for like years and years and years. I remember watching that game April of like a year and a half ago at my cousin's house. But man, it really got me thinking about what's going to happen with the whole landscape. What's going to happen with Fortnite? What's going to happen with PUBG? What's going to happen with Battlefield 5's mode? We talked about Call of Duty's mode yesterday or last week on the podcast, right? And then it really made me stop and think about like, what is it that makes these games so popular in the first place, right? What is it that really gets people excited about them? Is it the permadeath? Is it they're accessible and there's a huge kind of ceiling to learning them and stuff? And so I thought we could just talk kind of about the state of how things are going with Battle Royale right now and what we each see. Do we see it continuing at the same pace that it's been? Do we see it getting even bigger, shrinking? Just kind of all those different things that sit within that kind of big, broader topic.
Well, you got me smiling, Tom, because there's nothing more than I love than Battle Royale. So I'm excited for this. You got a lot to unpack there. So where do you truly want to begin?
So I want to start off with just kind of where things are with the two biggies right now. Let's start there, and then we can kind of talk about what would these games need to do, the new ones that are coming out, what makes a great game, and what would they need to do to kind of mess with the mojo that Fortnite, and it really is Fortnite more than PUBG now. I think the player base is really kind of leveled off in bad direction for PUBG, and I know that has for Fortnite, right? So I want to start there. I want to kind of start with state of Fortnite. It, to me, just watching from a distance, and maybe it's because I'm watching it a lot more on Twitch and everything else, it seems to me that no matter what comes out this fall is not going to have any impact on Fortnite whatsoever. Maybe I'm wrong, because I'm even watching, dude, there's streamers that are not named Ninja that are pulling 50,000 viewers, like this kid Daquan that I watch a little bit. That guy's getting 50,000. Dr. Lupo. There's all these, there's 4 or 5 of them now, TSM Myth, that get 50,000 people watching them. Ninja's getting 100,000, which is nuts, right? They had that whole summer skirmish thing. I don't know if you watched any of that, but that was really interesting, seeing like the genuinely great players go head to head. So my first question to you is, do you think, where do you see Fortnite specifically going over the next, let's say, as the fall season, all these new ones come out? Do you see it changing at all with season 6, I guess it would be for Fortnite? Or what do you see going on with them?
when you just brought up what titles might draw some attention or might, give it a little bit of a run for its money, none of the titles that you and I discussed last week, our most anticipated games on the podcast, actually make me worried for Fortnite at all. I think, like you said, Fortnite is in a perfect position, being free to play, making so much money off of the V-Bucks and in-game currency, and they're really doing a great job of, updating the game daily with changing different things, bringing out these seasons to keep it fresh and new. And when you break down really the games that they're competing with, we talked about it, Tom. I mean, what is Spider-Man? Is Spider-Man a single-player game, multiplayer game? It's a single-player game. It's going to draw the eyes. It's PlayStation exclusive. You're going to beat it, and you're probably going to be done with Spider-Man. I know there's going to be people who maybe platinum it, do the 100%, play the DLCs, but in the long term, Spider-Man isn't a year-plus game title that you're going to be playing every single day like Fortnite. Red Dead, we know that Red Dead's going to have GTA Online mechanics. You and I talked about it. I'm a little apprehensive at what Red Dead Online looks like and what the legs of it truly could be. But I mean, you're looking at a space right now where GTA Online sure might be about 5 or 6 years old, but it's not drawing people away from Fortnite at this particular moment. And I don't know if Red Dead, maybe it will have that new car sheen, that polish on it to maybe draw some eyes, but I still don't think that mechanic of gameplay online draws people away from Fortnite. So as we head into the holiday season, I think Fortnite is still poised to be that number one game, that big topic that everybody's going to be talking about. I mean, you got to think we're going to hit Halloween, we're going to hit Thanksgiving, we're going to hit Christmas and New Year's. All of those seasons are going to have special things happening in Fortnite that are going to force you and your family members to jump over, whether it be for a day, the week, buying different skins, partaking in a snowball mode, catch the turkey like they did with the gnomes. I mean, these are all things that are going to draw you in and take you away from different titles that you might be playing. So the state of Fortnite right now, perfect. And like what you talked about, they're doing so many cool things of having that Fortnite Fridays or whatever they're calling it, the summer skirmishes once every week, where it draws everybody to watch the pro players on Twitch. Now you're getting pumped up because you're like, man, I could do that. What Ninja's doing, I want to do that. I want to have some fun with that. And they're kind of opening it up to a broader stage, it seems like, every single week to add more different players, whether they're big YouTubers or Twitch, or whether they just be kind of just nobodies who's out in the community that somehow, are high enough on the rank to get in there. But I think they're poised to continue to take over the world like they're doing.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think there's anything that's going to stop it. And it is like nothing else I've ever, I never thought that I personally would get sucked into it. Like I really didn't. I didn't see it coming. The first couple of times I played it, I didn't really get it. It really kind of surprised me that it got as big as it did and that it stays as big as it did. But they've done all the right things. They, like you said, they've been able to not only just monetize what they've done, which is the biggest thing that you need to keep a game like that going because of all the stuff that you need to kind of patch and keep doing it, but just like the daily challenges that they've done, the seasons that they've done, the constant feeling of progression that they've given that game is unbelievable. There's nothing else that's like it. I can't imagine. I mean, the games that you mentioned, so Red Dead and a few of the other ones, is that really the same audience? I don't know. It might be. It's online multiplayer. There could be some crossover there. I'm not really sure. But I would be shocked if Fortnite does anything but continue at least on the path that it's on. I don't know if it can get bigger. Maybe it could. I think people, if anything, will get a little, I don't say tired of it, but there's got to be I mean, no game goes on forever, right? That's the fascinating thing about Fortnite to me is at what point will it hit a saturation of people are just kind of done with it? I know I'm nowhere near that spot, and I think that's kind of, we'll talk later about just sort of like what are the elements of a great battle royale, but there's such a high ceiling on that game for skill that I'm nowhere near. Like I'm nowhere, like, dude, I don't know if we talked about the summer skirmish stuff. The little bit of that I watched, and I say a little bit, I probably watched, 3-4 hours of it. Like, I can't even follow the end of that game when they're in the final circle and they're building up and it's just like total chaos of stuff. This is going to be a crazy thing to say, but I don't even know that the developers intended the game to be played like that at the end. Cause it gets have you seen that? Like,
oh yeah, it's incredible
nuts.
to watch.
what happens, right? Like you can't even, at least I have a hard time even following it with as much as is going on. So man, they're doing everything right. I don't see that changing much at all. Season 6 will come out in, I think, 3 weeks. Some of the, dude, even my kids are getting, I mean, finding all the challenges and doing all the stuff. Like it's just, they're poised for success, I think, no matter what games come out in the fall. PUBG, on the other hand, is a little different story, I think. You want to say something else about Fortnite before we go on?
I'll finish it up before we move on to the next one. Tom, I think you hit it right on the head of like, that is what makes the game so much fun. When we talk about PUBG in a moment, the final circle is simple. Who has the high ground? Who has a better position? Or are we just laying in prone and in cover? In Fortnite, you can make your own final circle here with the crazy things that you build. And I think that's what keeps pushing you every single time of like, how crazy can we get this final part? How much can I build? What can I really construct and try to get a win? And I think that's what elevates it over the other games that we're going to talk about later on, is that just individuality, that anything can happen type situation, as opposed to the other ones where it's strictly there is no building, there is no creating anything. There's the circle, kill each other, good luck, you know. I'll end it with this. If you think that Fortnite is insane right now, I bet you that if Fortnite were to release a new map, anytime really, but imagine if they release a new map by the holiday season or early next year, the whole planet is going to explode. Of course, you know that, Tom. The excitement for a new map on this game. They've done a terrific job of adding new locations, changing locations. There's a cube in there now that you can beat up on and it will kill you. Nobody even knows what the cube is. But it's like things like that they add to the same map and it gets exciting. Now picture if they had a brand new map. People are going to lose it, and the hype and hysteria for that is only going to escalate if that happens.
Doesn't that have to be in the plans, though? I mean, what other multiplayer game has gotten away with just one map? I mean, they have one freaking map. That is not a normal business model for a multiplayer game. It's just not.
No, it's guaranteed. It's in the cards, Tom. You and I both know that. It will happen here, but they're buying their time to ensure that it's perfect. It's got to be something with the wow factor that really grabs you. So, and the plus side is, like we talked about, they already are the zeitgeist. There is no rush to make the wrong move. We could sit back and relax. Like I just said, I mean, truly, you don't have to come out with anything over the holiday season and into next year with a new map style. As long as we update it, put a couple new things on the map, add some new skins, they're golden as can be. They have no rush at all. They're playing with house money. They can do whatever they want.
I agree, and I will close on this because we keep saying we're going to close. But I think the reason too is you get this. So we watch a lot of Shroud. We'll talk PUBG in a minute, right? So watch Shroud and Dr. Disrespect play PUBG quite a bit. People can kill Shroud in PUBG, and he does die, in different circumstances. And it's not that like the top streamers and the top players at Fortnite don't die also. They do. But one-on-one, they don't. Like, you cannot kill Ninja one-on-one. You will not kill him because there's a different skill in Fortnite of you can basically block every shot. If you have enough materials, if you have enough knowledge, like the guys that are the elite of the elite at that game are so far past the average gamer where PUBG doesn't have quite that same disparity of bad to good. Yeah, there's some great PUBG players, but you and I could kill a great PUBG player if the right circumstance presents itself. You can't do that in Fortnite. Like so I think people will always have this. You can always be better at it. You could always keep getting better at it. You could play it for 2 years and I think you'd still get better at it, which is kind of the good and the bad with that game. That's why I get frustrated with it, is because I'm not that good, and it's hard to not be good at that game. That's a hard game not to be that good at. Like it can mess with you if you just keep dying over and over and over and over, right? But yeah, I think that there's a huge difference between the really good players and the really bad players in that game that doesn't exist as much in other games. So
exactly, the skill gap is key in all video games. Is right.
So let's talk about PUBG, which is the one, and I'm curious because I've never asked you this too, and I've been kind of meaning to ask you. And I think your own experiences are probably indicative of what happened in general to PUBG, which is it was as popular as it was. They didn't do any of the stuff that Fortnite did to update games and do all that kind of stuff. But when you quit playing, why? What was it that kind of was the most from you to go from you were in full addiction mode. We would laugh all the time on the podcast about 6 or 7 hours a day you were playing. And then you just kind of stopped pretty much. I mean, you occasionally play now, but what was it specifically for you that got you to not want to play it anymore?
Streaming got me. That's truly the answer. I am still fully addicted to PUBG, and I like Fortnite a lot, but I still once a night will play PUBG with Earl the Squirrel, B-Ball, and Brian Toxic, whoever the community members may be. But really the big moment for me was streaming-wise. Like we talked about in this previous topic, the skill gap is not there. I'm not a dominant Dr. Disrespect or Shroud. And so for me to have to force my audience to watch me play 4 hours of PUBG every single day, constantly lose, even though we're having fun with the motorcycles, the vehicles, doing dumb stuff. Truly, I knew I couldn't grow as a streamer, couldn't grow my audience if I just pigeonholed myself to PUBG all the time at a mediocre level at best. You know what I mean? So that's truly why I had to push it away. And I wouldn't say I went to more of a variety streamer, which I always saw myself as. If I'm not afraid to play a game, and I'm not, nothing dictates what I'm going to play audience level wise, because really I'm just playing games with my friends. That's all that I care about. But I knew I couldn't, if I wanted to grow as a streamer, I couldn't sit there and play PUBG at a mediocre level all the time and force people to watch me. I just wouldn't get the audience. I wouldn't grow the way I wanted. So that's the only reason why you might not see me, or others might not see me playing that game as much. I will say the addiction is truly still there. It's something different than Fortnite, where I can play Fortnite, we can laugh, I can die, we can win sometimes. But PUBG, there's another level where my blood is boiling. Yep. We are truly trying to win, and we're try-harding every single time out there. And I still do it, a couple times a night for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm still that way with PUBG too. So I still, if I'm being honest, like PUBG better because of that difference in how I approach it. Fortnite to me is a lot quicker dying, I think. I feel like, I don't know, the maps are both big, but I feel like I die way quicker in Fortnite. I don't know why. So if I'm playing duos or even squads to some degree, I feel like the games are quicker. Maybe it is just the style of the games that makes it less sweaty palmy, right? When I play with you or play with Earl still in PUBG, I still get that feeling. I still, after all the millions of games we've played, that game still captures my attention in that way. And they have updated it. So let's talk about the good. They've done a lot. They've changed it a lot for people who haven't played it in a while. I'm curious to see what's going to come out with this official game release. I know the new map is coming, right? So the smaller 4x4 jungle map, I forget the name of that thing.
Sandhook,
right? So that'll be nice to do. I don't know. They've done a lot to try to improve. My game doesn't crash anywhere near as much. I don't know if at all. I don't think I've had the game crash in months. Have you?
I will say, you want to hear a weird tidbit, Tom?
Yeah.
My PUBG game has not crashed in the past 3 months. My Fortnite game has crashed 5 times now in the past 3 months.
No kidding.
That's something that you've never heard of. My Fortnite game has crashed, completely black screened, and unlike PUBG, where you can rejoin the game and get back with your friends if that happens, I get kicked out of Fortnite games, and I'm kicked out, and it's over for me.
Oh my God, I don't think I've ever black screened once or had a Fortnite game drop on me. Wow, okay.
So that's something weird for you, but I totally agree, Tom. PUBG has been tried and true. That's why it's still one of the big juggernauts that we're talking about. Yes, they're not making as fast moves as Fortnite, but Fortnite kind of had to do that to try to get into that space with PUBG and kind of get a little elbow room, make a name for themselves. They had to do these different tactics. As PUBG has been around a little bit longer, they've shown that they have a true tried and tested game that you can play and you can sit back with. And now their hands are kind of a little bit different. As you can tell, they kind of got to upgrade. They kind of got to move a little bit faster. And on the Xbox side, we're getting to see a lot of what the PC players have already seen. So we got new weapons, new attachments. We're getting a new map. I think the team death mode, or the team deathmatch, the war mode, is going to add a big one for us to get us rejuvenated and back into it, having fun. And I got to say, I think PUBG, why you and I like it so much, is that skill gap. As opposed to Fortnite, when I play, I'm not going sweaty palm because I know I'm not going to win. I have a 0.1% chance of ever winning a Fortnite game. Yeah. But when I play PUBG, I truly believe if I give it, full attention and maximum effort, I have a chance to truly win there. And I think that's the skill gap difference between the two games for me. And that's why I tend to go for that other game more.
So do you, yeah, man, I agree with you too, because I'm in the same boat. So do you think, so the other thing about Fortnite to PUBG too, there's, a lot of kids playing Fortnite, like my daughter's age people, right? And maybe it's the style of the game. I'm not exactly sure what it was that did it, but they attracted a huge audience of people for Fortnite that I don't think, I mean, PUBG never got that many people playing it just in terms of raw numbers, but they definitely, the people who are playing PUBG now are serious about PUBG. They're not just dropping in. In fact, there was a really funny tweet, I think, that our buddy Sean Pitts sent out the other day that was like, I either run into a kid that's like playing Fortnite on a cracked Apple 3GS screen, or I run into actual John Wick. Like that, right? That the skill gap is that different in the people playing that game. PUBG doesn't have that issue. Like, you're not going to run into people in PUBG who are just god awful at that game because they're not playing it anymore. The people playing it have been playing it a lot, right? So everyone that's there. So what I wonder is when the game relaunches itself here, or officially launches, whatever that really means, do you think the numbers are going to go back up? Do you think that they're going to go anywhere near back to where they were? Because right now, I think it's like 10-1 Fortnite to PUBG. Do you see it going? Will the new launch do anything for PUBG?
Absolutely not. It will not draw new people in. It will not bring people back. It's just going to give back to the community that's stuck with them, that wants to see PUBG succeed, that enjoys that game type mode right there. Yep. And that's the only thing this is happening here. This is not going to deter your daughter, anybody in that age group, anybody that's got a high skill gap right now in Fortnite to say, oh, hold up, they got a new map and a team deathmatch. I got to go over there. Yeah. No. I mean, we've talked about this in podcasts before. Why Fortnite is so dominant is because of the free-to-play model, the cartoon animations that's safe for children because it's not bloody. It doesn't look like a military shooter that would put parents off. Yep. I mean, Fortnite is there for a reason, and there is no way that this game is going to get anybody to jump back with this kind of an update. No way.
So what's interesting then is, so PUBG is doing what they're doing just to retain the players that they have today. Their only move is, let's not lose the last 2 million people that we have playing, because the only people who are going to benefit from this update are the people who are playing today. That's it, right? And so it's kind of, they're in a really weird spot with that. So I kind of agree with you though, man. I think that's exactly what they're doing it for. And I think, as much as I love PUBG, it'll never go back to what it was. They had their window, and if they would have somehow, when Fortnite was doing everything that they were doing, if PUBG would have done anything similar to that, done, achievement-based things, come out with new maps, fix the black screening, fix all the technical issues. If they would have done anything close to what Fortnite did, they wouldn't have nosedived the way they did. But they didn't, and now they're just got to kind of retain what they've got. So my last question then would be, do you see? I mean, we talked about these other games coming out. What would they need to do? What would they need to be? So you mentioned all the things about Fortnite that made it great. I think the other one too is, it's to make a great battle royale game, it's got to be streamable. It's got to be anybody. I mentioned Fortnite getting confusing at the end, but anybody can watch that game and get an idea of what the heck's going on. It's not a hard game to follow. You can see what people are doing. Same with PUBG, really. You can watch it if you're not a gamer and kind of follow it. So this next slew of games coming out, Battlefield, Call of Duty, these other ones, we talked about what's Scum, which is really a bizarre name for a game, and a few others, which really weird to me that Twitch is as big as it is, but these games have to be streamable, and they have to be, people have to want to watch other people play it, and I think that that's going to be really difficult for a Call of Duty or a Battlefield to get up in that realm where you're going to have hundreds of thousands of people watching them at one time, right? I don't think that that's feasible, that anybody's going to sit down and want to watch those games. Maybe they will, maybe those modes will be good, but I think that'd be really difficult for them.
That's interesting you say that. I would say, I'm kind of divided on what you just said right there, because we talked about it last podcast, right? Call of Duty and Battlefield are huge pillars in the first-person shooter community. No matter what, they're going to get a large audience watching and playing that game. But what I told you last week is, how long of legs are they going to have the community stay there? This game either needs to be perfect right off the jump because they're two juggernaut titles and they need to be able to last for a year plus and actually get inside of that battle royale landscape. Or will the community, just like it always has, nobody can actually look you and I in the eye and say, oh no, man, there's a massive community that plays Call of Duty all year long. No, there's a community that plays it all year long, and then there's the general audience public that falls off and goes plays different games. That's the difference between Fortnite and all of these other battle royales that we see. They get a 3-month window, and you either succeed or you fail and die. And so I think that these two, their true question is they're going to get the views, they're going to get the purchases, and people are going to buy them, but how do they capture people and keep them around for a long time? And there's two ecosystems that I want to talk about. There's Fortnite, the fun animation where you would let your own daughter play that game. And then there's Call of Duty, Battlefield. They're going to be competing with PUBG. That's going to be more of adult males. Females are playing that too, but that's more of a militarized shooter type game. And that is not the world here. The world is playing Fortnite because it's so animated and easy to look at. This game is like, okay, now we're going to battle with PUBG, and I would see more of them taking swings at PUBG than Fortnite. And what can they do that? You know what I mean?
I think you're right. Those definitely fall into that. And one of the things, and I don't know where exactly this factors into this, but that's all those games are. Fortnite and PUBG are just battle royales. They do nothing else. They were invented from the ground up to be that as a mod in the case of PUBG, and then Fortnite on its own. But everything else that's coming out, so Battlefield 5, that's not the main mode in that game by any stretch. In fact, I would say that that's the smallest piece of that game, right? The biggest piece is their traditional bread and butter multiplayer that they're known for. So the amount of time and effort that they put into that is that's the one that's got the long legs on it, right? Is people playing Conquest and Deathmatch for the next year and a half, the way they did with Battlefront and Battlefield 1 and everything else. And single player campaigns when they had them. So what's really weird to me is now you've got these $60 titles coming out with BR is just like an add-on. It's just a piece of what they're going to do. And I don't know how that's going to work against things that the entire reason. Now, Fortnite, in fairness, does have another mode and does have other stuff going on. I don't even know why it's in the menu because I don't think anybody plays it. And I don't even think you can buy that game. Like, I've looked before to try to buy a disc and you can't even buy it. So I think there's another game. I mean, there's a ton of achievements and I know there's an actual Fortnite game, but these other games, that's what kind of worries me about them, or not worries me, but it even more proof that no one's going to take on Fortnite is they're just add-on game modes. I don't think they are the game. And I think that that's going to be a big difference between those when they start coming out.
Totally, Tom. And that's interesting. Of course, when we talk about streamability, like you just brought up, we know Call of Duty and Battlefield, people are purchasing those no matter what for the campaign, for the tried and true multiplayer. And now this Battlefield mode or Battle Royale is just to kind of entice you to be like, oh, maybe I was on the fence about Call of Duty. Maybe I will this year because of that. These other games that we talk about, these smaller titles like, what'd you just call it? Scum, Realm Royale, Radical Heights, Last Tide. When we talk about streamability, you get about a window of about a week and a half where Ninja, these big-time streamers, Dr. Disrespect, Shroud. Are going to put eyes on your game and check it out. And so there's a couple of factors here that will be make or break for your video game. One, you have a $30 price tag just like PUBG and a lot of these other games were. Is this streamer going to put eyes on it? And is it a wow factor enough for me to want to say, man, I would spend $30 right now on Scum? You know what I mean? That's the biggest part for these smaller games of, if you're not free to play, you got to sell me on this price tag right now, because most of these games are early access on Steam for $20 to $30. And in the long run, I know it's not going to have the legs. It's not going to run that long. Why would I spend $20 to $30 for this week and a half experiment, a month experiment, when I could just stick with Fortnite and not even lose any money? So when I look at some of these, Realm Royale tried to take that World of Warcraft, that cartoony style like Fortnite, and try to go with it. I looked at the numbers. They got a decent number, about a Twitch base of a couple high people with 55 people. it's there. It's over now. I think Royale, you and I are going to see that one's going to the wayside. For our Ninja, Shroud, Doc, they played that for a week. You had your window. It's over now. Now we look over at a game like Radical Heights where Cliffy B, they had to adjust. Lawbreakers was over. They thought they could jump on this train, and this game was like colorful, fun looking, cool looking. Streamers were digging it because the accessibility and the gameplay was tight and well founded. But the only issue is they were literally making the game that moment while everything was happening. Yeah. So they were like trying to run when all these people were into it, and they were just be probably 2 steps behind, truly, Tom Bach, from maybe making some headway. And that game fell to the wayside because they weren't prepared. Now I'm looking at other games like Last Tide, which I think there's the wow factor, Tom. Oh, this is cool. Okay, so we're all in scuba gear. The circle closes because of sharks, and we're just kind of Scuba Steve swimming around, shooting at each other with different sharks coming in. There's the wow factor. You just said to yourself, dang, Mike, did you tell me I'm going to be Scuba Steve fighting other people in a battle royale underwater? Yeah, that's kind of cool. There could be some bright, different biodomes underwater. You could have the 3D ability. No game right now. I guess Fortnite you could consider 3D with the building, but truly think about it. You're swimming underwater in a full 3D movement where you can go anywhere and shoot anything, right? So that's kind of a cool add-on. But truly and honestly, if Dr. Disrespect isn't playing it, saying this is great, if Shroud isn't playing it and this is great, and it's not capturing them from Fortnite or PUBG, guess what? It's over now. Because I just went on them on Twitch. The highest streamer has 5 views. So clearly that game, there's your week that you just got. Guess what? It's over now. That game, I truly believe, will not make a difference. And that's one of those, when I bring up these titles, you got to make something wow me. And I think the 3D accessibility, the cool sharks and stuff, that wows me personally. But for a $24 price tag and the highest streamer gets 5 views, we're not playing that. It's over.
No. Dude, and that puts them in such a difficult spot. And I think that's why it makes Fortnite just that much more interesting, is anybody that's going to think about the decision of doing a free-to-play game, what that must be like to sit down and convince, investors, wherever you get funded from, to say, look, give us millions of dollars, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to charge nothing for this final product, but we're going to make money this other way through skins. I mean, the whole notion of free-to-play is insane anyway. That was the biggest, most radical experiment in a way that to me will forever change the industry. It really will, because it's going to put people in a position to have to make that decision, to your point. Because if you fail at that, it doesn't take a lot of these failing. Free to play, they go spend millions of dollars and they take a bath financially. They don't sell copies. It never gets popular. How many times do you think they're going to go do that? I mean, as an industry, not too many, right? That's going to be a death model for these companies to go do that. On the flip side, if you're competing against free to play and yours is $30 and that one's better, you're going to lose to that every time. So they're like in this weird catch-22 where it's all about the game and you don't know. I mean, this is what's crazy about Fortnite. If you started charging for Fortnite now, just think about this. Let's say they just decided to charge everybody $20. Do you think how many people would still buy it at $20? Pretty much everybody. Like, I don't think there wouldn't be people that would be like, oh shit, I'm done playing because now it's not free to play anymore. People would still buy it. Hell, I wouldn't even want to count how much money I've given them at this point. And another $10 would be like nothing. So that's a really strange model to go compete with, but I don't think it would take much for people to. I mean, free to play is just it's a tough thing the game has got to be fantastic. And they caught the wave at the perfect time. I don't know that you can duplicate that. I just don't know that anybody else can. To your point, there's a handful of streamers, and you and I mentioned some, but there's a bunch of other ones too that draw big crowds, right? If they have so much power out there, right? If they're playing it, people will play it. If they're not playing it, or if they badmouth it in any way, or like, whatever, they're done. Like, those games are done, which is insane to think that you're putting your product in the hands of people who have that much influence, but they do, right? I hear Ninja the other day, some guy was cracking on him on his stream like they do occasionally about, what are you going to do when Fortnite's over, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, dude, I'm going to be fine. Like, whatever game comes out, I'm going to be top tier at because dude, he's part of Cloud9. Like he's been a professional gamer at PUBG, at a bunch of different games. He's like, it doesn't matter, man. I'm going to be this good at anything that I play. To your point earlier about Shroud slaying people at a brand new game that he's never ever played before, those guys are going to get that audience and they're going to keep them forever, no matter what the game is, right? Ninja's not going away. If Fortnite ceases to be a thing in 9 months or a year, Ninja's not going down with it. There's no way.
No way, Tom. And yeah, I mean, I don't know where you want to continue with this topic, but I think you hit it right on the nail. And the perfect way to finish this is simple. If you're a free-to-play game, you better be 2 steps ahead, ready to go like Fortnite was. They were ready for that transition. Radical Heights was not ready. They were 2 steps behind on development and catching up to make sure that everybody wanted to buy it. And free-to-play games are going to have that struggle of dumping all that money in, and if they don't catch the wave, it's over for them. And the true one that we're going to see, this experiment is about to go down, and I'm sure everybody in this industry has the eyes locked on these 2 juggernauts, Call of Duty and Battlefield. And the only reason why these 2 are going to be looked at is because they already have the audience to know people are going to buy these games. They're going to buy them regardless. They've added on the Battle Royales to see if it's going to work. And if they fail at huge audience with the $60 price tag, what makes you think anybody and their mama is even going to come back into this space? It's going to be dominated by Fortnite and PUBG no matter what, whether it be free to play or $60 juggernaut like those 2.
Dude, that's in fact where I want to close too, is that is the most fascinating thing to me about this fall. Forget all the other games coming out. They'll be great. We'll have a ball with Red Dead. We talked Spider-Man, all those games. Tomb Raider, but watching what happens with the BR modes of those games, to your point, I think could affect gaming for the next 2 or 3 years to come. If they do really well, everybody's going to try to come out with some version of that, right? If they can figure out a way and like, oh my God, Battlefield 5 was so popular. It's a huge success. In the Battle Royale side, it will definitely change the landscape of things because people will know they can do it. If it fails, to your point, it's going to be no one else is going to dip their toe into this because what's the point? You're never going to take on the giants and win. So I think that's a perfect spot to kind of wrap and move on.
This is going to be so much fun to watch, Tom. I'm truly so excited just thinking about it. Like you said, we have so many amazing titles coming out, which are going to be a lot of fun. People are going to play them and enjoy them. But really, I am sure the whole industry is looking at this. Here it comes. The 2 big boys are going to try to step into the space. And if they fail, like I said, I truly believe nobody's coming back to this. Nobody will try to compete with those 2. But like you said, if they succeed, bang, next year, guess what you're getting? You're getting Star Wars Battlefront Battle Royale. You know what I mean? You're getting all those crazy titles. Oh, yeah. So I'm excited, Tom. You're giving me goosebumps.
I know.
Just thinking about it. But, man, that is going to wrap up our podcast. We went big today because we talked about a fun topic that's near and dear to both of our hearts. I hope you guys enjoyed it out there. Thank you all so much for your continued support. Whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on SoundCloud, leave a comment down below. Tom Bach loves jumping in the comments, loves listening to you guys, hear what your feedback is, what you guys thought of the episode. I hope you're enjoying the better video quality. Shout out to the What's Good Games girls, and of course, Kinda Funny Kevin for giving us those pro tips that helped us raise Tom Bach's stuttering camera because man, we're getting worried about that. We're gonna shut the whole podcast down if we didn't fix that. And of course, thank you to Idio Info for editing the podcast, putting it all together. Tom Bach, thank you for joining me on another awesome week of the Game Time Podcast. Episode 10 is now in the books. 10 weeks deep. Tom Bach, tell them where to find you.
Find me on Twitter at Galunga. And dude, think about this. In a matter of, my calendar's behind me, in a matter of like 8 days, Spider-Man's going to be out. Can you believe it? We're going to have a lot to talk about here. Dude, the podcast is going to write itself for the next 3 months with all the games we have coming out. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, you're going to get so much to talk about. For me, as a sports fan, you get NBA 2K. We're going to talk about that. The special edition Spider-Man's coming, the console. We're going to have a lot to talk about. Of course, you can catch me at Snowbike Mike on all my social media accounts. And of course, like, share, subscribe, leave that comment. We want to hear back from you. Everybody, be good to one another. Be safe and have fun out there. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
See you guys.